Hello guys, in this video we will be talking about resin.io platform which is used to implement the DevOps on IoT. So this is the UI. We'll start by creating a new application. After that we'll choose which IoT device we want to use in our application. We'll choose Raspberry Pi 3 and create the new application. This is the UI of the application. We'll start by adding a new device to our application. Here we can choose the operating system version and choose if we want to connect to internet through Wi-Fi or an Ethernet cable. We'll choose Wi-Fi. After that we will install the operating system on the Raspberry Pi 3 which we have downloaded from resin.io. After that we have to set up a local repository which will be synced with the resin.io repository. I will make a new folder in my directory Hungry Wolf and go into that folder. After that we will initialize that local Git repo. Here is the Hello World C++ program. We'll clone this repository to our Hungry Wolf repo on the PC. We'll use git clone command to do so. So that repo is cloned in our PC. After this we'll see we are in Hungry Wolf folder. We'll cd to resin cpp hello world. Here we can see all the files contained in that folder. These will be the files of the project which we are cloning. Here is an important step to sync it to the remote git repo. We'll paste this statement and click enter. Now the local repository is synced with the resin.io repository. We'll write git push resin master which will send our code to the git remote repository of resin.io. Here is the figure which will tell you about the whole process. First the code will be sent to the git servers. After that the code will be sent to the cross compiler engine which will include all the necessary files. After that the code is sent to the Docker registry which will make a Docker container. That container image will be sent to VPN manager and will be installed on all the IoT devices. And the same VPN manager will also be used to communicate with the resin.io APIs which we can see in the resin.io UI screen. Now we'll see a sample application which uses the concept of multiple containers for resin.io. Here you can see all the files, so we'll just go. Actually we have already created a new application which is configured with 2 Raspberry Pis. So you can see 2 devices which are online right now. The first device is in Trivandrum and the second is in New Delhi. Now we'll open the UI of any one of the device. Here you can see all the information related to that device. You can see there are 3 containers running in the Raspberry Pi, and here you can check all the server logs generated from that Raspberry Pi. You can also open a shell to any of the container. Let's say we opened a terminal session on the data container. Here we can check and run all the Linux commands which we want. And similarly, you can open a terminal session to any of the container. Here we have a public URL which is corresponding to that device. This is a sample application, so it is just showing the CPU and the memory usage. Now we'll go back to the UI and you can see that in the logs a new user is connected. And similarly, you can open a terminal session to any of the container. Now we'll try to change this code. So now I opened the Git repo on my local PC. We are inside the multi-container getting started app. Here you can see all the files inside that app. We'll change the front end. These are the files which are in the front end container. So we'll go to the static folder and open the JS folder. In JS folder we have two files, application.js and the main.js. We'll open main.js and here we'll try to change something. Let's say we'll change the title text which will be appearing on the UI. We'll modify it. Now we changed one file in the whole program. Okay, so here you can see in the git status it is showing that we have modified the main.js file. We'll stage our changes, commit our changes. Here is the most important thing. We use git push resin master. From the side of the developer, you just have to press git push resin master and all of your code will automatically get deployed to the git resin servers and all the process will be handled automatically. After that, 3 images will be generated for 3 of our Docker containers, and those images will be automatically sent to all of the Raspberry Pis. Here in the UI you can see that images have started to download. We can check the status in the UI as well. So now the images have downloaded in the Raspberry Pi, and now if we open the public URL link, we should see the changes which we made. Yeah, see at the top you can see this is the front end to show CPU load, average and memory usage. So everything which we do is automatically being packed in a Docker container and sent to all of the Raspberry Pi irrespective of their locations.